This is the book of Sirach, chapter 5, verse 15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. Plain and simple. Yeah? Plain and simple. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp here in Trinidad with another edification through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Alright, so first and foremost, Kal Halayam, La Alahayanawa, Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakaha Kodash, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahweh Shai. Double honors unto the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Double salutation unto the brothers who preaching and teaching the truth through the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites, and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwat, which is the sisters. Alright? So the title of this edification is Confusion at its Best. Alright? Confusion at its best. Alright? Now, reason for such a title. Alright, there's a clip that I'm gonna play in just a short. Alright, just a few. Alright. Concerning a woman, alright, trying to break down, or I wouldn't himself say break down because she didn't go to the scriptures. She just talk a whole bunch of hullabaloo out of she head, alright, out of her head, and when you listen, alright, it's all confusing. It is all confusing, alright, and besides, she not himself supposed to bring out any scriptures, but you know what the point we are drawing, you know, is that she's speaking, all right, concerning the MOTB and what the MOTB is and this and that and the other, but it's all over the place, all right, it's all over the place, you know. But what would the conclusion that I'm drawing, you know, pursuant to what she is speaking is that typical Seventh-day Adventist nonsense doctrine pursuant to the MOTB, that the MOTB is Sunday worship, Sunday law, when that is far from the truth. Alright, far from the truth. So without further ado, bear with me as I go to the clip, and we will take in, and afterwards I will, you know, come with the scriptures and what have you, so forth. Alright? And show without the shadow of a doubt that Sunday law is not worship. A Sunday worship Salakia is not the MOTB. Alright? Can never be the MOTB. Alright? Because there is no infrastructure to support it. Okay? So without further ado, bear with me. Alright, so you can see the individual here. Alright, what she said, the mark of the beast, the symbol is spiritual, the system is literal. So that alone there is confusion. Alright? That alone there is confusion. The mark of the beast, alright, the symbol, the symbol, first to begin of the mark of the beast ain't no symbol. Alright, and it is not spiritual. Alright, it's something literal because it's a mark. It is a literal mark. Let's get that out of the way one time. Alright, it is a literal mark, which we will get into a bit and prove. Okay? It is a literal mark. Alright, and as you can see there, the system is literal. She's saying the system is literal. So if the system is literal, why can't the mark be literal? Why the mark must be spiritual but the system literal? That don't make no sense. Because this man this man who was supposed to begin with, I just show you, because they don't even know, they don't even know the enemy. They don't even know the race of people. They don't even know the race of people who the Most High designated to bring forth such a system and such, whatnot, so forth. They don't even know. All right? And this man, Esau Edom, was never a spiritual man. All right? He is a carnal man. All right? He's a man of carnality. This is what it is. Okay? The scripture talk about that in the book of Romans. I think it's Romans 8. I want to believe. I think it's Romans 8. Let me see. Bear with me. I'll have to go to that, man. I'll have to go to that. Let me see if it's a while I go to that scripture. That scripture just come back to my head. I think it's Romans 8. Let me jump to so I could be able to yes, no, bear with me. Not Romans 9 for sure. Bear with me. Now I was saying, man, I know it's Romans 8, man. Yeah, so Romans 8, and I would start at verse 5. Romans 8 and 5, where it reads that, For they that are after the flesh do mind the things of the flesh, but they that are after the Spirit, the things of the Spirit. For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. All right? And this is what this man is. This man is a carnal-minded person. All right? There is nothing spiritual about this man. There is nothing spiritual about the beast. All right? There is nothing spiritual about the beast and its system. It's all literal. It's all literal and all physical because they are carnally-minded people. All right? They are a bunch of carnally-minded individuals. The race of Esau Edom. So it says, for to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity against Yahweh, for it is not subject to the law of Yahweh, neither indeed can be. All right, and this man refused to be subjected unto Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right, this is what it is. So this man will always have a carnal minded, way about him, for lack of better words. So it says here, so then they that are in the flesh cannot please Yahweh. But ye are not in the flesh, but in the Spirit, which is to the elect, if so be that the Spirit of Yahweh dwell in you. Now if any man have not the Spirit of Yahweh, he is of a Mashiach Salakia, he is none of his. Okay, so bear with me. Okay, so let's listen to what she has to say. All right, and you would see the confusion at its best, at its finest. All right.
This is a powerful and necessary question. If the mark of the beast is only symbolic, how will it affect real buying and selling? The spirit of prophecy confirms in the great controversy and last day events that Revelation is full of symbolic language, especially when it comes to beasts, marks, and seals. We know when it comes to the beasts, when we compare it to Daniel 7, they are kingdoms or political religious powers. The mark and seal are likewise symbolic, representing internal loyalty and outward compliance. The mark of the beast is enforced false worship by human power. It's not a barcode. It's not a tattoo. It's not a microchip. It's about who you obey.
And there was she friggin' wrong. And there was she's wrong. All right. Yes, the barcode is in number. Yeah. The barcode is in number of the beast. All right. But the mark is the microchip. Is the microchip. All right, that's the mark. The microchip. Hook, line, and sinker. That is the mark. Alright? But anyhow,
God's law and man's law contradict, it will be the final test of loyalty. This is why it's symbolic. The mark is not seen by human eyes, but heaven sees it clearly based on who we worship and obey. But how will this symbolic mark affect buying and selling? Even though the mark is spiritual, the enforcement is literal. Revelation 13:17 says,
the mark is literal and the enforcement is literal. Alright? Now, let's see how she is explaining the buying and selling pursuant to the spiritual mark. Sunday worship. Let me see.
that no man might buy or sell lest he have the mark. This means literal economic control will be used to enforce a spiritual decision. So it's
Well, that part she's correct. That part she's correct. But let me listen to the confusion she's coming with.
like this. The mark is symbolic. It represents loyalty to man's laws rather than God. But the consequences of not taking it are literal. Economic sanctions, persecution, and social exclusion.
So how the hell you could take something that is spiritual and not literal? How could you take something spiritual? How could you take a spiritual mark, but the you see the confusion? Let me see if I could go back a little bit.
Rather than God, but the consequences of not taking it are literal. Economic sanctions, persecution, and social. Literal economic control will be used to enforce a spiritual decision. So it's like this. The mark is symbolic. It represents loyalty to man's laws rather than God, but the consequences of not taking it are literal. Economic sanctions.
You see the freaking, you see what I'm talking about? You see the confusion? You see the confusion?
Persecution, and social exclusion. Now, the Bible doesn't use modern terms like cashless society, but it does foretell a system of economic control where your ability to buy and sell is dependent upon allegiance. We are seeing the system right now.
Right. And that is why, sorry for the interjections in between, all right? Sorry for the interjections, but I had to say something, you know. And that is why you will need as a literal mark in order to have your proof of allegiance. Just sometime earlier in the year or maybe late last year, I did a video, I did an edification, and I was constantly repeating, all right, your proof of allegiance. All right, your proof of allegiance. How the hell you being able to prove your allegiance, man? Because anybody could go to any store and say I worship on a Sunday and what have you, so forth, so forth. But how is that being proven? All right, that you worship on a Sunday in order to be able to buy and sell. How the hell is that being tracked? How the hell is that being tracked? It's just like the same thing. It's just like the same thing. All right, you have $1,000 in your hand, and you want to go and buy a sneakers with 1,000 literal dollars, liquid cash, $1,000, and you go to that store and buy that sneakers for $1,000. All right, they don't have any track. They don't have any proof. All right, they don't have any way in knowing and being able to track that you spent $1,000 in a specific store to buy a Jordan or to buy a Reebok or whatever the case may be. All right, they do not have that information. All right, and if it is, let's say, all right, cashless society. All right, whatnot, so forth, so forth. How is you being able to get about, all right, doing your spending and whatnot by this mark being spiritual, where you could just up and say, you worship and what have you so forth on a Sunday? How are they keeping track in you worshiping on a Sunday? How are they keeping track? What is the infrastructure put in place to keep track of you worshiping on a Sunday in order for you to be able to buy and sell? You understand where I'm coming from? How could they be able to track that? Because with liquid cash, they really do not have a system to track that you went and spent $1,000 or $1,500 or whatever. All right? They do not have that. They do not have a system pursuant to that. They do not have a system pursuant to that. But with the MOTB and the microchip and the CBDC and all these things that she's going to mention and what have you so forth, all right, there is an infrastructure to track your payments, your buying and your selling and what have you so forth. There is an infrastructure, all right, your social credit score system and boy, oh boy, let's just continue, yes?
CBDCs, biometric IDs,
What is biometric IDs? Bio go into your biology, into your body, human. All right, biological IDs. What the frick you feel it is? What the hell you feel is by the biology IDs? What the hell? What else could it be? See the confusion that I'm speaking about here. That this female who has no right at all. Who has no right at all. Alright? You see the reason why you women need to shut your flipping mouth? You women, hey, but hey, the most I have something coming for you. Best believe that.
Social credit scores and censorship tied to compliance. All of this makes real-time control of money possible. Once paper cash is gone, digital access becomes permission-based. And that's how worship laws can suddenly become economic laws. This is part of how fear, chaos, and control come together to coerce worship. Someone may ask, how can a symbolic mark stop me from buying bread? Because worship isn't just from your heart. It shows up in your decisions. If you refuse to obey man's worship laws, aka Sunday rest, you will be marked as disobedient in the global system. You will not be able to work, to sell, to participate unless you comply. Even though the mark itself is spiritual, the test will play out in laws.
That's a whole bunch of shit. Because, alright, first to begin with, the whole world is not Roman Catholic. Alright? The Hindus, they don't follow the Roman Catholic religion. Okay? The Muslims, they don't follow the Roman Catholic religion and ideologies and what have you so forth. Along with a couple others, Rastafari, they don't deal with that. Alright? So that alone within itself, shows the nonsense that she is speaking of. Alright? That alone within itself. Alright? The Roman Catholic Church is not the beast. Is it a part of the beast system? Yes. Alright? Yes, it is. Alright, pursuant to the false prophet of Revelation chapter 16 and I think is 13 or 12, 1 out of the 2, the 3 unclean spirit like frogs. Alright, when it speaks about this, and one like unto the false prophet. Alright. That is speaking about the Roman Catholic Church, the Vatican. Alright, they're speaking about the 3 city-states, which is the Vatican, Washington, D.C. and London, which represent the false religion, the, what do you call it again? Oh Lord. I'm going to take my time here. It's now in my head, I know. The false religion, the monetary system, and along with the military arm. All right, that is what it represents. Okay. But hey, this girl is speaking a whole nonsense, and we're gonna break down some stuff here in a bit. Bear with me.
And marketplaces. A time is coming where being loyal to God means being cut off from buying and selling. And we already see the economic coercion. You won't need a chip in your hand. You'll just need to go along with false worship. Those who refuse
That's a whole nonsense, and she will see.
God's law will stand out, and that's when the test comes. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments.
All right, so you heard her. You won't need a chip in your hand. All right, no problem. We will see. We shall see whose word shall stand, your word or the Most High's word. All right, we shall see. All right, now let's take a look at Revelation chapter 13. All right, I think I'll have to go to the blue letter for that. I will stick in the blue letter for a while. Skip that. All right, so Revelation chapter 13. And we will start from 1 and bounce around. All right, we will start from 1 and bounce around. Okay, because I'm going to break down something here and explain something here again. This will be the second time I'm doing it. All right, the Roman Catholic Church is not the beast. I say again, the Roman Catholic Church is not the beast. You know something? Before I go to Revelation 13, let's go to Daniel. Let me go to Daniel 7 and first. Let me go to Daniel 7. Daniel chapter 7. And I will start at 1. All right, the vision of the 4 beasts. All right, in the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and a vision of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea. All right, the 4 winds represent these 4 major empires that was prophesied to come. All right, pursuant to the dream of Daniel. All right, which actually even goes all the way back to the dream of Nebuchadnezzar. All right, pursuant to the statue. All right, pursuant to the statue. You see how serious understanding Daniel chapter 2, the statue of Daniel, and then being able to tie it into Daniel chapter 7. And then come all the way to Revelation, is going to see how important it is here, which is actually understanding prophecy. So it says here, and the 4 great beasts came upon the sea, diverse one from another. The first was like a lion and had eagle wings, which is speaking about the Assyrian Empire. And I beheld the wings were plucked off, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it, which is speaking about the Neo-Babylonian Empire. All right. And behold, another beast is second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side. All right. And it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it, between the teeth of it. This is speaking about the Medo-Persian Empire. Now, those 3 ribs were Babylon, Lydia, and Egypt. Those 3 major strongholds of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. All right. And they said thus unto it, Arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Now this here, it is this verse 6 here, this leopard here, this beast of a leopard, it is speaking about the Grecian Empire. It is speaking about Alexander the Great. This is when the so-called white man at first came into power. All right? This is what it is here. Now verse 7, and after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it, and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. Now this here, it is speaking about the Romans. All right? This here, it is speaking about the Roman Empire. This is when Rome had came into power. Now, as you could see there, as it says, and it had 10 horns, which was the 10 vassal states of Rome. Back then, ancient pagan Rome. Okay? And I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. This is speaking about America. All right? This is speaking about America coming into existence. Verse 8. All right? And those 3 little horns that were plucked up were the last 3 out of the 7, okay, the 7 horns, which you will read in Revelation 13 and Revelation 17, okay, which is actually Portugal, Spain, France, and Britain, okay. America were the ones responsible for plucking up these 3, all right, the Spanish-American War, the British, the American Revolutionary War, all right, and France, you know, they had was to give up a lot of territory in America after being defeated by the so-called Haitians, all right, during the height of the slave trade, which are actually the Levites that the Bible speaks of, the true Levites, all right, the so-called Haitians. So now let's tie this. Let us tie this here, all right. Let us tie this here with Daniel chapter 2. And I will go straight to the point. Daniel chapter 2 and 40. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Daniel chapter 2 and 40. Now watch what it speaks. Now watch what the title here. Rome. Watch what it is titled here. Rome. All right? Rome, the Roman Empire. When the Roman Empire was in existence, the Roman Catholic Church was nowhere there. Okay? The Roman Catholic Church was nowhere there. Okay? So now, when you go to it, when you read Daniel chapter 2 and verse 40, and the 4th kingdom shall be strong as iron, all right? Which is the Romans, we dealing directly, we will be dealing directly with throughout this lesson here, throughout this edification. All right. For as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, which we read in Daniel chapter 7 verse 8, right? And as iron breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay, and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. All right? All right? And as the toes of the feet were part iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. So this these toes that it is speaking about here, what this is actually giving you here is the fall and the resurgence of Rome. All right, is the fall and the resurgence of Rome. All right, because those 10 toes that are part iron and part clay, those 10 toes are actually speaking of the European Union, okay, which is the beast. All right, the European Union and NATO, which is the beast. The beast is not the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, the beast is not the Roman Catholic Church. The beast is the European Union and NATO. All right, then you have the image of the beast. The image of the beast is actually the system. Okay, that is the image of the beast, the system. So as it says here, but there shall be verse 41 I read over, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. All right, so it part strong, part weak. All right, which represents, all right, this, some of the nations within the European Union, they are partly weak, whether it be economically or militarily. Likewise, vice versa, with the rest of the European Union nations, all right, so, who will be strong militarily and also financially. All right, so it says here, and as the toes of the feet were part iron and of part clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, all right, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So tell me something. This is speaking about the last days. All right? Because this is speaking of a nation, a race of people, a nation of people that is actually going to be ruling, all right, in the last of days, okay, when the Messiah makes his turn pursuant to verse 44, the divine kingdom. So how the hell the Roman Catholic Church fitting into this here? Because when you go down to verse 44, and in the days of these kings, it never said the Roman Catholic Church, and in the days of these kings shall the Most High, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, power of heaven, set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. How is the Roman Catholic Church fitting in that? Because this is speaking of the last days. This is speaking of a kingdom that is going to be ruling, all right, partly weak, partly strong, all right, and mingle the seed with the rest of men and whatnot, so forth, until Yahushua comes and take them down. Because when you go to Revelation, oh shucks, not that I wanted to do. When you go to Revelation chapter 20, let's take a look at Revelation chapter 20. Revelation chapter 20 and 1, where it reads, and they will look at this and think it's speaking about literal Satan. No. This is speaking about the physical counterpart of Satan. All right? The physical counterpart of the spiritual being Satan. This is what it is. So it says, and I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And all right, that bottomless pit is speaking about Europe. All right, it is speaking about Europe. Europe is that bottomless pit. All right, because Europe is a barren land, is a land that is not, it doesn't have what do you call it again? natural resources and what have you, so forth, so forth. You know, Europe is only known for making of cars and what have you, so forth. All right. Verse 2, and he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent. All right. And that dragon it is speaking about, that dragon is actually the Roman Empire, the ancient pagan Roman Empire. That was what the Roman Empire was called back then. Bear with me. All right. So I ask this question. Was Rome considered the dragon? As it says here, yes, in some interpretations, the Roman Empire is associated with the dragon, particularly in the context of the book of Revelation, specifically the dragon in Revelation 12 and in 13, and 13 is sometimes interpreted as a symbol of the Roman Empire, especially when linked to the beast. Especially, you see, they know. All right, this is they know, especially linked to the beast in Daniel 7. This interpretation stems from the idea that Daniel's fourth animal described as resembling a dragon is the Roman Empire. All right. Now there is something. I wonder if I know how to bring that back up, boy. Let me see something here. Bear with me. Let me see what is the meaning of the W-E-L. All right, let me see. Let me see. All right, so good. So watch this, right? As Brother Nagada say, the spirit of the heathen is subjected unto the heathen. So as it says here, watch this, right? Because I'm proving something here. Proving that the Edomites, all right, that the Edomites are the so-called white people, all right, who are the Edomites, were ancient Rome, pagan Rome. So it says the symbol of the dragon has been used as a military standard since the time of the Romans, who themselves likely borrowed it from the Dacians, inhabitants of an ancient country in Eastern Europe. Was later adopted by 5th century Welsh kings. All right, 5th century Welsh kings keen to show their authority following Roman withdrawal from Britain. All right, all right, because the Welsh flag, the dragon on the Welsh flag and ancient Rome is well interconnected. All right, let me see something here. So it says here the dragon and the flag. All right. The symbol of the dragon has been used as a military standard. Blah, 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 blah. Let me see. Let me see. Oh no, there's not this. You could go on and just read it out yourself here, but there's not the one. There's not the one I had all of this going heavy. All of this, could still work with it, but they're not the one that I had look up, man. All right. Where it's showing here, it actually the going back, the reason for it is them going back to the roots because they know that they are the Romans. All right, they know that they are the Romans. Okay, but nevertheless, we get the information that we wanted. All right, so it says here, and he laid hold on the dragon, which is the old Roman Empire. All right, and that it is speaking about was us. All right, the so-called Negroes. All right, we were the ones to take down the Roman Empire. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil. All right, the devil. Let's go to that word devil. I was to go to that word serpent also too, but a matter of fact, let's go to that word serpent first.
Strong's G 3789, Apis.
All right, Apis. All right, in the Greek is Apis, serpent. All right, it's a snake, serpent. With the ancients, the serpent was an emblem of cunning and wisdom. The serpent who deceived Eve was regarded by the Jews as the devil. Let me see something here. All right, as you can see here, to see with the eyes, so to see with the mind, to perceive, to know. So you're seeing here, that it is when you go into the etymologies and what have you, so forth, you're seeing here it was a literal man, all right, and not a literal snake, all right. All right. When you go to the word devil,
Strong's G 1228, Diabolos.
all right, diabolos, which goes into diablos, all right, prone to slander, slanderous, accused falsely, a calumniator, false accuser, slanderer, metaphorically speaking, applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of Yahweh, may be said to act the part of the devil or to side with him. So this is why, all right, he is the physical counterpart of the spiritual being Satan. All right. Reading over verse 2. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. All right. All right. The physical counterpart of the spiritual being Satan, and bound him 1,000 years. This is when they had fell. All right. This is when the Roman Empire had fell, and cast him into a bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should deceive the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled, and after that he must be loosed a little season. So that 1,000 years when they were out of sight was during the Dark Ages. All right, and when they came back, when they were loose, that was the commencement of the Renaissance period. All right, not the Roman Catholic Church. Okay, not the Roman Catholic Church. Because if pursuant to Revelation 13, all right, let's go to it. Revelation 13, all right, let's read from 1. Revelation 13 and 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. All right. So that beast is speaking about here. It going right back. You're seeing here that this year it is actually speaking about the 4th beast. All right. You're seeing here this tying right back to Daniel chapter 7, going all the way back to Daniel chapter 2 and verse 40. All right. You have to be blind to don't see that. Yahweh Hashem Yahushua literally had to blind you for you not to see that. That you have to talk this nonsense that Revelation 13 is speaking about the Roman Catholic Church. And it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, which is the Grecians, all right? Which is the Grecians. So you see where he coming from, you see? And his feet were as the feet of a bear, all right? Which is the Russians, who are Edomites also. And his mouth as the mouth of a lion, which is the British, all right? And the dragon, which is the old Roman Empire, gave him his power and his seat and great authority, all right? The Roman Catholic Church was never known as the great dragon. Show me, prove to me that the Roman Catholic Church was considered the great dragon, the red dragon. All right, the great dragon. All right. Now, why the bear? Why Russia is mixing all into this here, the bear? The feet of the bear, because Russia, they are Edomites also, and they are the ones that the Lord had set up, put in place to bring down this whole beast system, to bring down them own self, that their own, that the end of their time shall come through them. All right? And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound, all right, was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. Okay? There is what it is here. All the world wondered after the beast. So it's showing you here, this beast having 10 horns, 7 heads, all right, and his head was wounded, all right, as if it were dead, and wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, all right, which is speaking of the revival of the Roman Empire. This is what you all have to understand. Because when you go to, you don't need to go to all of that. Let's go straight to the point here. Revelation 11. And I'm going to go back to Daniel chapter 7 and verse 8 with this here. Revelation 13 and 11, where it reads, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, all right, coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, all right, which is speaking of the 2 parties. This is speaking of America, because when you go back, this is speaking of America and its 2-party system, all right, Republican, Democrat, what have you, so forth. Because when you go back to the Daniel chapter 7 and verse 8, where it speaks of, and I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the root. All right, that another little horn is speaking of is America. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, which goes into wisdom. All right, which goes into wisdom, their wisdom and their knowledge. All right, with wickedness, with witchcraft and all these things. And a man speaking great things. All right, this is what it is here. So when you go back to the Revelation 13 and 11, all right, and you go down to verse 12 here, and it says, and he exercised the power of the first beast before him, all right, which is Rome, all right, which is Rome. When this man came back into power, all right, and being established and what have you, so forth, all the policies and what have you, so forth, and everything that Rome stand for, even down to their structures, their building structures, every single thing down to the T, all right, this man has bring it back into play, all right, this man has brought it back into existence, all right, this man has brought back the whole Roman system. There's what it is. All right, and caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. The world is not worshiping the Roman Catholic Church. But I could guarantee you that the world is behind this whole Roman Babylonian westernized system. All right? Because a main thing to prove that the world is following after the whole Romanized system from then that was back then that is here now is democracy. All right? The Roman Catholic Church don't push and enforce democracy on the nations and bring war into the nations if they don't go with democracy and what have you so forth. But I could tell you, America, along with the European Union and NATO, yeah, they do. All right? And he doeth great wonders. He doeth great wonders so that he make fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. The Roman Catholic Church didn't do that. It was America, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, all right, the atomic bombs. But this is the point where we get in at here now. Let's get to the nitty gritty of this whole thing here. What's your time now? 1:44 and 2. And he deceived them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. All right, those miracles. All right, what are those miracles? Your age of technocracy, your age of now we are in what? The 4th Industrial Revolution. All right, there's where it is. Now, this woman, all right, as you heard her speak concerning, the whole system that this man is bringing about, all right, social credit score, all right, she forget to mention the carbon footprint, CBDC, all these things, all right, all these things, along with, well, she denying the chip. But when I tie all that in together along with the chip and what the chip is able to do even besides, even beyond, not just besides, even beyond the buying and selling. All right? When you take a look at that, you get to see, all right, the false miracles that this man is pushing. All right? There's where it is here. So it says here, and which he had to do in the sight of the beast, all right, in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast, all right, which had the wound by a sword and did live, which is what? Which is, the image is speaking about the system, the policies, all right, the stringent measures that they're going to be putting in. And it says here, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, all right? That the image of the beast should both speak, which goes into the draconian laws and what have you, so forth. That is how the image of the beast is speaking. All right? The laws and the measures in you for you to obey the system. Okay? And cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, all right? And that kill, it goes into both literally and also to be ostracized, all right? And he caused it all. So let's go into that. PAO. Come on.
Strong's G 4160. Poyeo.
Poyeo. All right. So it says here to make with the names of things made to produce, construct, form, fashion, etc. All right. So they're going to write laws and legislations and what have you, so forth, to be the authors of, to cause, to make ready, to prepare, to produce, to bear, to shoot forth. All right. It says here to make, i.e. constitute, all right, to constitute, put us, all right, or which means to make law, or appoint one anything to appoint, or ordain one that, declare one anything, all right. So to be the authors of a thing, to cause, to bring about. All right? To be authors of a thing, to cause, bring about. Okay? So we're seeing what this thing is about here. But when you go, let's read it out. And he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right? You go to that word receive. Bear with me. All right.
Strong's G 1325. Didomi. Didomi.
All right, didomi. All right. It says what? To give someone, to give something to someone. Of one's own accord, to give one something to his advantage, to bestow a gift, to grant, give to one asking, let have, to supply, to supply. So we see in here, this is something, all right. If they're receiving, it is because it is something that is physical, not spiritual. All right. To give order to one's care, entrust, commit. All right. Something to be administered, to give or commit to someone, something to be religiously observed. Okay? And it goes on and on and on and on. We don't need to go through that. All right? So we already get that there. But let's go to the word mark. To receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, which is the word is what?
Strong's G 5480. Charagma. Charagma.
All right? Karagma. All right? That's the word. Karagma is stamp and imprinted mark of the mark stamped on the forehead or the right hand as the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. The mark branded upon the horse, sting, scarf, sculpture, graven work, idolatrous. Yeah, let's go to the
Strong's G 5482. Charax. Charax.
all right, so we in the etymology of the word karagma. The word karax is what? A pale or stake or palisade, a palisade or rampart. All right. Let's go on. Let's look up what is a pale or a stake. Let's look it up. Pale or upright pale or stake. Watch that. All right, the phrase upright pale or stake refers to a simple vertical post or pole often used for fencing support or in ancient times for execution. All right, so let's go to the images. Not that. All right, this here. This here. Pointed stakes, high rest stocks. All right, so this here. This here. These are stakes. This is what they call stakes. So, as it says here, when you go back, it says a pale or a stake or palisade. All right? The word karax. All right? Pales between which earth, stones, trees, or timbers are heaped and packed together. All right? So, the word karagma, it goes into a cotton, into the cotton, all right, into the flesh, all right. And what is doing that cotton is this pale or stake, which is actually the hypodermic needle that contains the chip inside. Now, when you go to this here, it says
Strong's G 1125. Grapho. Grapho.
it says grapho, all right, which goes into the word graffiti, all right. it says to write with references to the form of the letters, to delineate or form letters on a tablet, parchment, paper, or other material. To write with reference to the contents of the writing, to express in written character, to commit to writing things not to be forgotten, not to be forgotten, not to be forgotten, write down, record, all right? And you all could go to the rest, all right? So what this goes into, as she said, you see the confusion this witch is pushing? Because she spoke about the biological IDs, right? The bio IDs, or however you want to, however thing, right? Which goes into the chip. It goes into the chip, all right? And they're having all your information pursuant to your banking records, your health, this, that, the other, all right? You're doing your payment and your purchases, whatnot, so forth. You know, as I say, not this thing, it goes way further than just buying and selling, man. This thing goes into you pledging your allegiance, all right? Because this thing goes into you taking this thing, you being fooled into taking this thing for health-wise, pursuant to your whatever health conditions you're ailing with, whether it be your sight, your hearing, all right, your mobility, these things, all right? These ways speak about the lying wonders, the false miracles that this man is performing, all right? These way it is here. Not no friggin' Roman Catholic Church nonsense about, hey. Let's continue to slaughter that nonsense. All right? Verse 16 again, and he caused it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy. So it's a literal something. And it says here, no one could buy or sell anything without that mark. So you have to have that literal mark. It's not no blasted spiritual. How the hell could you receive a spiritual mark? All right? This man is a carnal man. He is not spiritual. All right? So he wants to actually see that you is pledging your allegiance to this to him and his system, man. Because remember, this man sees himself as a god. So it says, and he that had the mark or the name or the beast or the number of his name. Verse 18, here is wisdom, let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. For it is the number of a man, and his number is 603 score and what? And 6. And when I go to that, 603 score and 6, which is what?
Strong's G 5516. Chai, Xi, stigma. Chai, Xi, stigma.
Chai, stigma. So lucky about that. Alright, a bit tired here. Now come off a 24-hour shift. But anyhow, Chai, stigma. When I go into the word stigma,
Strong's G 4742. Stigma. Stigma.
Alright, from the primary word stizo. Alright, to stick, i.e. prick. Okay, to stick or to prick. But this witch, she said what? Ain't nothing about no microchip. Alright. It says what? A mark pricked or branded, a mark pricked in or branded upon the body. To ancient Oriental usage, slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their masters or commander, branded or pricked, cut into their bodies to indicate what master or general they belong to. All right? So what? That was their proof of allegiance back then. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in the way that in this way with the token of their gods. Okay? So this thing is something physical, literal. The system is not only the system is literal, but the mark also is literal. Alright? Because this man has a what? Has a God complex about him. This is what it is. This man has a God complex about him. Let's take a look at 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and 3. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 and 3, Salakia. We are going so far for. It reads, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come what? A falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Alright? Who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. So this man is carrying what? A God complex about him. Alright? And that he it is speaking about is Esau, Edom. That's who it's speaking about. Remember ye not that when I was with you, I told you these things, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. And this man has been revealed. But you see, the thing is, you all don't want to see the revelation because you all want to hold hand in hand with this man. That's basically what it is. Alright? You all don't want to deal with the true essence of the scriptures. That's why the scriptures specifically say to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it's because there is no light in them. And that woman, she has no light in her. Alright? Because she is not speaking according to the word of Yahweh Shai. That's why she needs to shut her ass up. Alright? Verse 7, for the mystery of iniquity doth already work wickedness upon wickedness. Who is that? Who is guilty of that? Esau, Edom, the so-called white man. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. So the Lord has put a bound on this man that he cannot pass. Alright, basically. Verse 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume. Alright, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, which is the prophets, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, which is the chariots, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Those false miracles, man. Those false miracles. Alright? And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Alright? That's why they will talk that nonsense. That's why they will talk that nonsense. If the Roman Catholic Church is the beast, alright, well then, if the Roman Catholic Church is the beast, well then what the dream pursuant to Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar, it's false. Concerning the Roman Empire, alright, they fall and they rise again. Alright, that 10 horns, alright, that 7 head and 10 horns, alright, part weak, part strong, alright, and they rule 1 hour with the whore. I think it's with the whore. It's with the whore, boy. Let me see if I can get that here. Revelation 17, and I think is 10. Revelation 17, not 10. No, with the beast is verse 12. Revelation 17:12, and the 10 horns which thou sawest, which is the European Union and NATO, and 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, alright, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. Alright, so they haven't gotten the new world order, alright, all right, but they were still able to have some sort of rulership over the face of the earth by the way of the beast, all right, by the way of the beast, you know, that and the whore, the whore that rided the beast, all right. So going back to not this, I want to go to Ezekiel. I want to go to Ezekiel 28, and I'll start at 1. All right. So this is Ezekiel. Now this is a twofold scripture. This scripture is a twofold scripture. All right. So it says here, this is speaking about this type. This is speaking about literal Tyre, literally about Tyre, but also symbolically of America. All right, America. So it says, the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am a power, I am a God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not God. All right, yet thou art a man and not God. This is what it is, because this is the God complex that the so-called white man had. All right. And you see, they got that complex by all the trade, all the wicked wisdom. Let's just put it that way. All the wicked wisdom. All right. And the riches and all these things. Yeah. And though thou set thine heart as the heart of God, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. With thy wisdom, this is the point, with thy wisdom and with thine understanding, thou hast gotten the riches and hast gotten gold and silver into thy treasure. And you know, the ancient people of Tyre, they were the first set of money changers and what have you, so forth. They were the first set of bankers. Let's just put it that way. All right, they were the first set of bankers, and the Lord threw them down by the way of Alexander the Great. All right, because they thought they were so high and mighty and what have you, so forth. And it's the same thing with the so-called white man. You know, their pride had deceived them. All right, so it says, by thy great wisdom and by thy traffic hast thou get increased in thy riches, and thine heart is lifted up because of thy riches. All right, which is the mind. All right, this is the man who make Yahweh not his power but trusted in his riches. That's roughly paraphrasing. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, because thou hast set thine heart as the heart of the Most High God, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon thee, the terrible of the nation, which is the Russians, and they shall draw their swords against thy beauty of thy wisdom, and they shall defile thy brightness. They shall bring thee down to the pit, and thou shalt lie the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Will thou yet say before him that slayed thee, I am power, I am God? But thou shalt be a man and no God in the hand of him that slayed thee. You understand? This is where it is here. This is where it is here. The reason why I'm reading these things is because it's to show you the God complex of this man, of Esau, Edom, and their beast system. This is what it is. This is what it is. Now, this is what I want you all to explain to me here now. How it is a spiritual Sunday worship is going to give you this. Let's go back to Revelation chapter 16. Revelation 16 and 1, and it reads, And I heard a great voice out of the temple saying, To the 7 angels, go your ways and pour out your vials of the wrath of Yahweh upon the earth. And the first went and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore upon them which had the mark of the beast. Which had the mark of the beast. I wonder if I could get... Let me see something here. Let me go back. Let me read it in the NLT. Alright? Revelation 16:2 NLT. So the first angel left the temple and poured out his bowl on the earth, and an horrible malignment sores broke out on everyone who had the mark of the beast. Let me see. So let me see something here. I doubt I might find that word there. All right. Okay. That is it, right? So I got
Strong's
it.
G 2192. Echo. Echo.
All right, echo. All right, echo. All right, which goes into the word had. All right, it says here to have, to hold, in the hand, in the sense of wearing. Yeah, in the sense of wearing. So you see. Now you talking about all these things. Yes, social. They will force you. You know, they will do this. They will do that. You know, because we going into a cashless society, economics, this, that, the other, buying and selling. All right, but the mark is not literal. So then, if the mark is not literal, then how the hell you explain this to me? All right, explain this to me. All right. So it says here to have hold possession of the mind, referring to alarm, agitation, emotions, etc. To hold fast, keep, to have or compromise, or involve or regard or to regard, consider, to hold as, to have, i.e., own, possess. All right, possess external things such as pertain to property, blah, 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 blah. No. To hold oneself, find oneself, to hold oneself to a thing, to hold oneself or find oneself, and so on. So, to hold oneself to a thing, to lay hold of a thing, to adhere or cling to be closely joined to a person or a thing. All right, who is that person? They're going to be closely joined with Esau, Edom, and their system. All right, so the Spirit of the Lord does make me go to that word harden. All right, because I thought it didn't have no Greek word for that word hard. And the first went out and poured out his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore. All right, a noisome and grievous sore. Let's go to that word noisome. Let's go to that word noisome.
Strong's G 2556. Carcass. Carcass.
All right, carcass, where it says of a bad nature, not such as it ought to be. Yeah, of a mode of thinking, feeling, acting, base, wrong, wicked, troublesome, injurious. All right, pernicious, destructive, banful. All right, let's go to that word banful in the web search. Harmful or destructive. Let me see. No. All right, let me see. Injurious. Let's go to that word injurious also. Let me see. All right, injurious, causing or likely to cause damage or harm. All right, hurtful, as you can see the synonyms there. Unhealthy, yeah, unhealthy, undesirable, adverse. All right, dangerous. All right. So as you can see there, so this way it say and let's go to the word grievous. I almost finished with this though.
Strong's G 4190. Paneras. Paneras.
Alright, so it says here, paneras, full of labors, annoyances, hardships, pressed, harassed by labors, bringing toils, annoyances, perils. Alright, of bad nature, in a physical sense, diseased, alright, diseased or blind, alright, in an ethical sense, evil, wicked, bad. Alright, so this was going to tell the disease, a cancerous sores is going to break out upon you. I must see something here. Alright, let's go back. Alright, so it says, and the first went out and poured his vial upon the earth, and there fell a noisome and grievous sore. Alright, upon them which had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worship his image. And how you're going to worship his image? By the way of the social credit score system. That's how you're going to worship the image. Because they're going to keep you in line. Alright, they're going to keep you in line. And as I'm reading this here, this is what is going to take place with you when you take it. Along with Revelation 14 and 9. Revelation 14 and 9, where it reads, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive, literally receive, take his mark in his forehead or in his hand. Come on, man, how stupid could you be? The same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahweh, which is poured out without mixture, into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. This is what it is. This is what it is. You all need to, you women need to shut your flipping mouth, all right? And stop bringing that confusing shit, Babylonian shit, to the masses. All right? But then at the same time, hey, it is what it is. But the Lord gave you all specific instructions. All right? And I will end with these two last scriptures. 1 Corinthians 14:33. 1 Corinthians 14:33, it reads, for Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. For the Lord instruct, let your women keep in silence in the churches. For it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for the woman to speak in the church. And to back that up, I will leave with this last scripture here, which is 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 11. 1 Timothy 2 and 11, it reads, let the woman learn in silence. All right, let the woman learn in silence. Shut your freaking mouth with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. For Adam was first formed, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. She was in the transgression, notwithstanding that she shall be saved in childbearing, if they continue in faith and charity and holiness with sobriety. Hey, I really hope whoever taking this, there was edified through the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Alright, and get some sort of clarity. Alright? The Roman Catholic Church has nothing to do with the mark of the beast. If you want to say they are a part of the system, we will understand that. I will agree with that they are a part of the system, all right, where it comes to their false religion, all right, because they are the false prophet in the scripture, all right, the Roman Catholic Church, the Pope, all right, but as in they being the beast, the 7 heads and the 10 horns and all that stuff, no. The scripture doesn't validate that. The scripture does not validate that. All right. So hey, I hope you all is edified, because I done a whole hour and change our stuff here to go and do inside this place, you know. Wow. Ooh. But anyhow, I hope you all are edified through the power and spirit of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. This is your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp in Trinidad, signing out, saying, Kal Halayam, La Alahaya Nawa, Yahweh, Ba'asham Yahushai, Ba'asham Rakah Kodash, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, the bishops, the elders of Great Millstone that rule well. Double salutation unto the brothers who preaching and teaching the truth to the four corners of the earth, risking their lives, freedom to do so no more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites, and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwat. Until again, we say shalom, shalom unto you all. Hope for the elect, wa bad babal unto this wicked place.